Anna, I'd like to congratulate you on what you've found. From my own experience in the Schwarlicks, they're very complicated geologically, and field work there is very difficult, so well done for what you've achieved. It's very nice to see that Ruat is no longer isolated and on its own. In support of what you've been saying, in the Pabby Hills, where I was working a great deal in the 1980s, I think the earliest stone artifacts there went back to 2.2 million, although they were surface finds and I could not prove it conclusively. So in other words, what you have found is consistent with what I was beginning to get in Pakistan. If I have a question, it's this. I'm not clear from your exposition, how many of the cut-marked bones were in their primary context, and how many of the stone artifacts were in their primary context, because I found that was a critical factor in trying to persuade people about the authenticity of evidence from the Schwarlicks.
We have four bones.
In context? In primary context? Or are they surface finds?
The first one we have collected in 2009. It has a summit of the dome.
Mm-hmm.
So it cannot come from another layer. The second at muzzle 13, it is the same condition, but on the outcrops, among cobbles. The third was collected in the pitch leach, also among the terraces, and the fourth also. I have found it by a great chance, because we decided it was the end of the survey, and we decided to climb again on the dome, and I was very tired, and so I decided to go in the chow. And because my eyes were adapted to observe the fossil, I see a small surface, brown surface, very small, in the sand. And with my stick, I clean the sand. Oh, it's a long surface. And again, so I put my bag. I take my hammer, and I dig. It was biggest. So my bag was heavy, but I decided to take the long bone. I put it in my bag. And then behind the meander, there was a carrion of a buffalo. So we decided to finally climb on the dome. My bag was more heavy, and when I washed the bone, I observed them after the 5 cut marks. So I know that this long bone is coming from this Krawenwala zone. All around is Pliocene deposits. There are no Pleistocene. And in the Krawenwala zone, it is very safe. We know that these fossils are dated to Tatrot. We say Tatrot in India. So 4 fossils. It's good representation of this probably scavenging activity.
And the stone artifacts? Were the stone artifacts also in context? Your choppers,
we have this is the same condition for the cobbles, for the stone tools. They are on the outcrops, recently eroded. So we have just one tool in situ, no fossil, no cut marks in situ. But all is coming from the Krawenwala zone. So we can be sure that we are below the Gauss Matuyama boundary. Oh, I think in 10 years this is a good collection. Thank you for the question.
Very similar to one place I had in the Pabby Hills, again on a dome.
Yeah, in
no
Pabby
possibility of younger deposits, but because it was surface, no one would accept that evidence. So
because of the erosion, with the tectonics, the monsoon, rainfall, every year we find new, and this year we have a new stone tool on the surface at Mazol 1. It was not on the surface last October. Oh, I hope it will be possible to excavate on a large surface at Mazol 1. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Anne. I have a question about the industrialitic. In this region, we have a lot of people assemblage with the Soanian. And there is we don't have the date of the Soanian. We don't know
no datings.
When the Soanian will be knaping. So do you have a link with your chopper or a few pieces with the Soanian? Because it seems similar, no? There's difference?
And I'm not a specialist, but when we discussed with Claire Gaillard and Dominique Koch, they conclude that this is different. It is not the Soanian. The Soanian is more complex. There are more surface enlèvement on this chopper. But this was the difficulties, the problematics. When we start the survey in 2003, we found a lot of Soanian covers, stone tools, on the terraces. We say post-Shiwalik, that is after this tectonics create these anticlines. So we know that Soanian is youngest than 300,000 years. And because I'm an anthropologist and not a technologician, I asked to Dr. Mukashin to show me where we can find fossil and stone tools. I know that there are some places, such as Mosul, and the first time it was in 2007. Then in 2008, Mukashin found the first chopper, but in Columbians. And in 2009, we came with Claire Gaillard. We observed that the stone tools was in the Columbian. The datings give an age around 200,000 years. But this is a Columbian. And all around there are choppers, flakes, and this shaft tibia with the cut marks. And because of the cut marks, it was very similar to the cut marks, I decided to pursue the survey. And in 2012, I asked to Professor Yves Coppens if he accepted to support this discovery because it was an unexpected prehistorical locality. So now I try to continue to find the founds. As said Professor Michel Brunet, it's not so evident, but especially when it is not so easy to accept so early human hominin presence in Asia before the Pleistocene.
Just on a picture, I was interested in the answer of your question, where did these groups come from? You mentioned from Africa, as it's terra incognita, as you've said, only one seat, you have China, Langupo, far away, but it's not well-known area. Can you explain what they had come from the west and it's not possible from the east? You have some...
If there are an hominization cradle, human cradle hominization process in Asia, Oh, this is another question, another congress maybe. Of just now, we accept that the African paradigm. We don't know the process of harmonization really. So, of course, the climate, the environment change are main factors. And we have the same climate change in all the tropical areas. And we know that there are at least 2 or maybe 3 genus in Asia. Sivapithecus in the Shiwalik, or maybe more. Corapithecus in Birmanie, Lufengpithecus in Yunnan. And there are probably 2 other genus in Yunnan. In the north, the baby skull, similar to Pongo, and the south of Yunnan, the Lufengpithecus, with a beautiful femora. I have seen this fossil in IVPP in Beijing, and it is a well-adapted, bipedal adaptation. And the middle face has nothing to do with the Pongo face. So we know that also at the same time, at 6 million years ago, in China, in the Yunnan area, at 6 million years, yes, there are also primate species which were frequently bipedal. So why not? This is a question. There is another fossil at Longupo, the mystery ape, a small fragment of mandible with 2 molars. And it will be very interesting to make this analysis described yesterday by José Braga, to compare these 2 molars with the Lufengpithecus or Pongo, or maybe Sivapithecus, to be sure that it is a mystery ape, an ape, or maybe an anomaly. But this is an open question, why not? But for the moment, this is the African paradigm. This implies we will find stone tools at 2.8 million years in the Levant, in Arabia, in Afghanistan, in the south of Pakistan, in the south, middle and central India also. If everybody is accept this, why not? But for me, the most important is the process of harmonization, that is a strengthening of the nervous system.
Thank you. One comment by Yves and...
Yes, thank you very much. I would love to hear what do you think about these cut marks, if you have any feeling after having seen the pictures?
Well, given my experience and based on what I see, the external morphology of those cut marks seems to be authentic to me, but from my experience, confirming cut marks would require a series of approaches that goes from observing the gross morphology, the V-shaped and then deep incised marks, to electron microscopy, and now we have new techniques of geometric morphometrics. So I think it would be great to expand the studies to see if we can confirm them using additional techniques that we have applied. That is how far I would comment on these discoveries. In terms of who made them, I think what she said will have to be investigated further, but I would not comment on that because I'm not really familiar with the area and with the context.
This is cut marks. Do you agree that on these big bones I found this is cut marks? It is not crocodile tooth? It is not scavenging?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is...
Scavenging, sorry, trampling marks.
No, what I'm saying is, up until 2010 or 2009, the techniques that we've used for a long time, in other words, if you have this V-shaped incised marks, they would be accepted as cut marks. But based on the experience that we had, people seem to suggest that we need further evidence to confirm if indeed we're dealing with cut marks. That means we will have to apply the additional techniques that are being developed. And I'm saying this from the lesson that I have gotten from the process I had to pass through. So if this was 2009, yes, I would agree with you that these are cut marks.
Yeah.
But I think if you were, I don't know if these are published yet. Are they published?
Of course.
They are published, yeah.
Yes.
So what type of
In the
reaction?
proceeding of the Academy of Science.
Yes. So what were the reactions of the authors, the reviewers? How did they react?
Some colleagues sent to me that they are agree, they are not doubt. And you know, I am not alone to determine that it was cut marks. Anne-Marie Moigne, my colleague, is very familiar with cut marks. She has seen 1,000 cut marks. So if this bone was only Pleistocene, Middle Pleistocene, nobody asked, are you sure that it is cut marks? Because it is in Pliocene deposit, and now suddenly it's not possible. It's exactly the same. Huh?
I think we have to move on, so maybe we take one brief question or one brief comment, but...
Sorry.
Yeah.
My question is only a valuation, and this already was the same question of
Just to finish, well, I support Anne and her work because I think it's an important thing to follow. But it's of course not enough to talk about out of Asia. Hypothesis is something else. You have to forget about Lophampiticus and so on. And for me, I told her several times, hominin activity is too much. We don't know enough about that. But it's very intriguing to find this quite well dated cut marks. And it's an important discovery, important data. And well, that's all for the moment, I would say. It doesn't change the idea of the origin, African origin, and so on. Well, for me.
Yes, but as it was said already yesterday, archaeology is all about context, and I think in the absence of extensive excavation in these layers, I think there will be still open questions regarding the origin of this material.